The Gospel of Gold by G.S. Lewis. It wasn't until about noon the next day that Gold's sought-after companions reached town. In the time before they arrived, Todd, Elliot, and Ivan had trained with each other long enough to see their 3 starter Pokemon evolve. While they rejoiced, Gold had gone to the animal graveyard to see 2 fresh graves dug in the ground. It did not come as a shock to him, but he was embittered nevertheless. Spirit provided him some consolation, and by lunchtime with the campers, he was cheerful again. A boy with red hair approached them just as they were cleaning up, and Gold only became aware of him when he heard his voice. "You there. Which way is it to the Violet City Gym?" Gold looked up and saw that the newcomer was addressing himself to Ivan. As he had grown to expect, Ivan shrank back from the stranger, but pointed timidly to the northwest. "Excuse me," said Elliot, following up on Ivan's gesture. "If you're going to the gym, you should know that it's a hell of a lot more difficult than—" Gold missed out on the rest of the conversation. His eyes were drawn to the city gate, where another boy and girl were now emerging through together. He perked up in recognition of the 2, and with a happy shout, he ran to meet them. "Marina! Jinichi!" The 2 of them looked back at him, confused at first, then blank-faced, then wide-eyed as they put the pieces together. "You!" gasped Jinichi, breaking into a run his way and calling his name. How did you... "It's a crazy story," Gold said, still grinning as he reached his fellow Ecruteak trainer. "And I go by a new name now." "Where did you run off to?" Marina demanded, sounding more confused than angry, though there was anger on her face. "You had the van guy freaked, not to mention Professor Elm." "Like I said, I can explain," Gold replied, raising his arms in a mollifying gesture. "I've got a good reason for what I did, if you can believe it." He had only talked for about 2 minutes when Elliot came up from behind and interrupted suddenly. "Nice friends you've got, Gold," he huffed. "That redhead was a real ball of sunshine." "Gold?" asked Marina. "Redhead?" asked Gold. "You mean Kamen?" asked Jinichi. Elliot crossed his arms. "I didn't think I would say this, but screw it. Let him lose to Faulkner. At least that'll take him down a few pegs." Gold looked seriously at Jinichi, his chest going suddenly tight. "Who's Kamen?" "I think you should finish your explanation first," Marina started. "Please, this is important!" Gold cut in imploringly. "Who is he?" Jinichi shrugged helplessly. "He was the next-in-line replacement trainer after you ran away. He took the Cyndaquil that was going to go to you." Gold felt all the color drain from his face. Out of nowhere, he heard the chill voice of Silver's prophecy once more.
"For your course of action has already assured the death of an innocent creature. Come and see."
Without another second's hesitation, he turned and bolted off in the direction of Violet City Gym. "Hey, Gold!" Elliot cried after him. "What's wrong? Where are you going?" "I have to stop what's about to happen!" Gold cried over his shoulder. "Fill them in for me!"
You will surely see this again, if you follow through on your journey, Gold.
Through the gym doors, up the fire stairs, out the rooftop exit. Kamen was standing on one side of the level rooftop, while on the other side stood a man with hair covering one side of his face. Between them were 2 creatures, dodging and weaving around each other, kicking up asphalt from the Pokeball logo etched into the field. The airborne Pokemon was a bird of prey, exhibiting razor-sharp claws that sliced cruelly at its opponent. Gold recognized the animal on Kamen's side as none other than the Fire-type starter Pokemon on his birthday cake. Cyndaquil, covered in bleeding cuts, still maintained the flaming quills on its back to signify its fighting spirit. Nevertheless, it was obvious how one-sided the battle had shaped out to be. "Still not willing to surrender?" called the man from the other side of the field. "Then don't complain about what happens next. Pidgeotto, Sky Drop!" Before Gold could even react, the enemy Pidgeotto scooped up his Cyndaquil, by rights his Cyndaquil, in its hooked claws, seemingly unaffected by the flames jutting out of the smaller creature's back. The bird shot up into the sky with a screech, rising higher and higher until its features were unclear. Across the battlefield, the man crossed his arms with resolute finality. This is what happens when you take on a gym leader without evolving your Pokémon first. There is no place in the league for weakness. You, of all people, should have known that. And then, from high above the battlefield, Pidgeotto let go of its burden. Cyndaquil fell like a stone, squealing with fear, until its body thudded upon the pavement. The flames on its back immediately went out, fire and life extinguished in the same moment. Gold stared at the inhumane scene, too shell-shocked to speak. A judge with 2 flags stepped up to the unmoving body of the Fire-type. "Cyndaquil is unable to battle! The match goes to Faulkner of Violet City!" Kamen dropped to his knees and slammed the asphalt with his fist, not with a cry of sorrow or mourning, but a roar of frustration and rage. He cursed his dead Cyndaquil for being weak, and he cursed the bad luck of the match since fire was supposed to defeat everything. By the time he was done cursing, Faulkner had already withdrawn his Pokémon and left, sparing Kamen one last contemptuous look. Gold heard Kamen's ragged breathing, and the scrape of his shoes that indicated he was finally getting up. He heard the creak of the door opening, and a defensive bark of, "What are you looking at?" He heard these things, but did not see them, because he was, in truth, looking at the body of Cyndaquil. Kamen had not recalled it, but left it to lie in the open. Now, as Kamen's stomping footsteps faded down the stairwell, Gold slowly approached the fallen starter that was meant to be his. He felt his chin tremble, his hands shake, and his insides ache with pity and guilt. If he had not run away from his journey from the beginning... Tears welled up in his eyes, obscuring his vision, but he ignored them and lifted Cyndaquil's body to his chest. "I'm sorry," he wept, bowing his head. "If I had been there for you, then you would not have died." "Do you weep?" came Spirit's voice, sudden but gentle. "When you could raise him again?" "Yes, Spirit," he said through his tears, "because bringing him back would not undo what happened here." He looked up at the sky. "You are a comforter in a way I can never be. Tell me the truth. Is he better off now where he is gone than he would be if I'd brought him back to my side?" Spirit did not answer him. In his heart, Gold knew the answer already. He brought his gaze back down and found himself met with 5 pairs of eyes. Marina, Jinichi, Elliot, Ivan, and Todd all stood still as wax figures, watching him as he cradled the tiny Fire-type in his arms. It seemed that Kamen's earlier remark, "What are you looking at?" was to them. Wordlessly, he rose to his feet and trudged through the exit doors that led off the rooftop. If they had been hoping to see another miracle, they would have to be disappointed. But now, at least, they would be thoroughly dissuaded from sending their own Pokémon into the death trap of Faulkner's gym. He hoped anyway. The choice was theirs.